it's time for our keynote speaker, and I'm very pleased to invite up onto the stage our CEO, our founder, and the brains, the vision behind our Indian cloud, Mark Boost.
Good morning, everyone. Fantastic to be here today. Welcome to our very first Civo Navigate India. So, now, as Kunal and Simon mentioned, we've done these events all over the world. We've done San Francisco, we've been to Tampa, we've been to Berlin, London, Austin in Texas, and this is the very first one we've had in India, and it couldn't be a better place to have it. I've visited India a few times now. I've been to Mumbai, I've been to Delhi, where we exhibited as a platinum sponsor for KubeCon, and then more recently to Bangalore. And like Simon and Kunal said, I absolutely love being here. I think the atmosphere, the crowds, the people we interact with, the community, the food. I love the food, the Indian food. We get a lot of Indian food back home in the UK, so it's great to feel at home. Yours is much better than our food, so you do it much better. But you're really glad to be here. Love the culture, and thank you all for your hospitality. It's been fantastic so far. But as Simon mentioned, earlier this year we launched our Mumbai data center, and as he said as well, we are going to launch our second data center in 2026 in Bangalore, so really pleased to do that, and we're expanding all the time. Currently we have regions all over the world, but India is a real strategic market for us, and we're making a big investment into India. Last year we announced a 200 crore investment into India, so I'm really pleased to bring Civo to India. Okay, so to kick things off, as it says on the screen, in every industry there's a tipping point. And as we all know, we're seeing one right now in AI. We're seeing the largest shift since the Industrial Revolution, moving to a world where data is more valuable than ever before. And many consider it to be the new oil. And we all want to leverage AI. We want to make better decisions, increase productivity, but in order to make the most out of AI, we need to share our valuable data. If, say, you're a law firm, you might have commercially sensitive documents about your clients. If you're in pharmaceuticals, it might be proprietary molecular designs and trial data. And if you're a SaaS company, it could be your whole code base. But right now, there's very little governance and transparency about how big tech companies are processing your valuable information, and where that data is being processed and who has access to it. And companies are crying out for change. Here's a survey we did where we surveyed 1,000 IT decision makers, and the results are quite staggering, as you can see. So 84% of respondents said that they are concerned about geopolitical threats to data access. 82% said they would switch from big tech to gain more data control. And 71% said they would prioritize sovereignty in their tech partner choices moving forward. So it's become a really big thing. And also, I speak to a lot of analysts like Gartner and ABI, and data sovereignty has now become the #1 priority for many organizations. It's dominating boardroom discussions, especially in large enterprises, and companies are evaluating their strategy and their risk, and they're worried about putting all their eggs in one basket. And those boardroom discussions are now starting to translate into action, with companies increasingly demanding true sovereign infrastructure. So we're really pleased to bring Indian sovereign cloud to India, and we guarantee that 100% data sovereignty. But you know, as I mentioned, right now we live in a world where your precious data is controlled by very few, and you play by the hyperscaler rules, really. And the problem is with data sovereignty, it's become a bit of a marketing term, and it's thrown around, and there's literally little or no legal definition of what data sovereignty actually means. And there's a disconnect between what customers actually want and what hyperscalers claim and what they offer. So at Civo, we've built a new kind of cloud, and we've better defined a business model to support it. We've listened carefully to our customers and what they're craving, and that's more value, more simplicity, more transparency, more flexibility, but perhaps the most important thing, giving you more control. In India, we guarantee that 100% data sovereignty, as I mentioned. So Civo is built for more, And today, we're going to show you how Civo delivers exactly that. So I'm going to hand over at this point to Dinesh, our CTO, who's going to show you more.
Thank you very much, Mark. It's great to be here in Bangalore. It was my first visit at the start of the year, and meeting so many people, it's been really amazing. We started in the January of this year with our first data center being delivered into Mumbai with our partner Civo. And that was the start of a 200 crore investment into India. With this region, we're offering a fully sovereign cloud where all of your data, all of your customer data, stays in India. Out of these services, we offer the majority of the core services that you need to build modern applications. That's a managed Kubernetes service, compute instances, and everything around that that you know and love to build cloud-native applications. That's load balancers and volumes. We're also able to offer GPU access with some of the latest NVIDIA GPUs that Josh is going to talk about later. One of the great things, though, is that we're able to offer this in a private environment as well. So everything you see here, you can also get on-prem. What this looks like today is by joining Civo and using our services, you can deploy your applications to any of these locations around the world and ensure a consistent experience across all of them. And over the next year, we're continuing to expand into 4 new regions. Sovereignty is really, really key. And that's not only around where our data centers are, but it's also where your own customer data is stored, and giving them options of where you can store that and process it. The fastest way and the easiest way to give certainty to your customers and your users is to be able to say that here is an appliance, here are some servers, and we're going to give them to you, and you know your data stays only on these servers. Traditionally, this meant having a change in how you operate between the public cloud and the private cloud, but with Civo Stack, we're unifying this. Everything we have built has been designed to scale down or scale up from these flex core appliances, which are the same hardware that we run in our public cloud. We're able to deploy this into a region, into an environment, and get this up and running within 30 minutes, an hour. What that means is that the future looks like this, where wherever you are able and you need your customers to have a region, this is what the map will look like. And we need you to drive this around India, and I know I've spoken to people here that are working in the Middle East and around the world to continue to grow exactly where you're able to host cloud infrastructure. This video here shows exactly how easy it is to get up and running with a private cloud. What we've got on this side is our dashboard, and you can come in and start requesting a sales call about the FlexCore appliances. What this means is that we'll talk to you and start an engagement of exactly how big a deployment you need to start with, whether that is the smallest environment from 7,000 vCPUs all the way up to multiple racks of infrastructure. So, once we've received your order and we've worked out exactly how much infrastructure that you need, we'll start building that and speccing that with you. As these infrastructure is ready to go, when it lands on site, we do a little bit of upfront work to get your network details out. That means we can pre-configure it, we can test the environment to ensure that when it lands, all you need to do is provide power, networking, and cooling, and you have a cloud ready to go. We're now going to see some of the fastest provisioning and shipping process in the world with the status updating here. But at the start, we saw our partner in the UK doing that build and validation. And when we come to India, there will be a dedicated partner in India doing that work, bringing in the servers, bringing in the hardware, and then getting it shipped to the site of your choice. Once the infrastructure is shipped, there are detailed instructions on what you need to do to get that racked up, get it powered on, and then the infrastructure phones home and says that we're ready to go. You're then able to click the button in the same dashboard you're using for a public cloud, and now in the bottom corner, you've got your own dedicated private cloud deployment ready to start using. One of the beauties of what we're offering here is rather than you having to relearn and recode all of your infrastructure deployments, everything that you are using stays exactly the same. So we've got a Terraform environment here, and all we're changing is the region from our public cloud region to our now dedicated India region. Nothing else changes, and the simplicity that we've put into our Terraform provider means that we're getting an instance and VPC and firewall online with only 3 resources. We run that apply, and then we'll come over onto the dashboard, and we'll refresh that, and we'll see our instance ready to go. Within 3 minutes, you'll now have a ready-to-go Debian instance to start deploying your applications, and our private cloud solutions offer you that same parity with the ability to run object storage, databases, and even AI workloads. We've been working with a customer, defense.com, to really hone exactly how this offering works. We've been working with them for over a year now and refining how this process works. Defense.com are a cybersecurity business based out of the UK, but operate globally. And they are helping customers to identify and react to security threats. They are ingesting 1.3 trillion security events every year over only their top 200 customers. For Defense.com and their end users, it was really, really important that they knew exactly where their data was being processed. As such, they use our private FlexCore deployments to host an Elasticsearch deployment, processing all of that data and storing it up to a compliance time of 10 years. Everything else is hosted on a combination of our public cloud, offering API endpoints for users to interact with that data, but then also do restores out into Elasticsearch. As I say, this has been running in partnership with them as a customer for over 5 years, and they've been really driving the private cloud story at the moment. Some of the things that they really love is the scalability that we offer with FlexCore. Whenever they start running out of storage and they need to process more data, we're a phone call away and able to add more capacity into their Elasticsearch server. As AI and ML has taken over, they are starting to now ingest and process their logs with additional artificial intelligence and large language models, and they're able to still deploy GPUs locally and ensure the sovereignty of their and their customers' data. Obviously, AI is absolutely huge, and there will be a public cloud and private cloud briefing later today where you can ask more questions and find out more about what we're doing. But to talk about AI, I'm going to invite our Chief Innovation Officer, Josh, up to the stage.
Good morning, Bangalore. How are we doing today? That's what we like to hear. It's been fantastic to talk to you all. I've been on that floor out there since 7:30 this morning, and I've never, ever been more gripped by people talking about exciting AI use cases. And one thing I'm absolutely sure about is the fact that Bangalore is definitely ready to build AI. And everyone I speak to is talking about these amazing use cases. I think what's really, really fascinating here is actually Civo coming in and doing something very different, thinking and being really close to the needs of the Indian market and listening to very much so what's required. I'm here to tell you about why Civo is the best cloud where you can build your AI and what we're doing differently versus the other providers to make you more successful in your market. But I think before we do so, and before we drill into AI detail, let's zoom out for a moment and look at the global stage as a whole. And actually, Gartner, one of the leading global analysts across computing and IT, is saying that 60% of all AI projects right now are being abandoned due to gaps in infrastructure. I think definitely if anyone understands it most, it's places like Bangalore, where actually building IT infrastructure is inherent to your DNA. And you've been doing data centers and understanding these things for the longevity of when you've been here. And actually, we're living in an age now where AI can code your application. It can help you write your roadmap. It can answer customer support questions. And the reality we're starting to realize is that companies who are investing in AI infrastructure today are going to be able to solve these problems tomorrow. And we want to make sure that places like Bangalore are ready to be able to leverage high-scale AI. We're bringing this new cloud to the market, and where solutions that inherently have been in place like AWS and Azure have had products that they released 10, 15 years ago that they're still pushing and marketing today. This is a cloud built for today, for the problems of today that you can use today. Everything we have is AI ready by default. And actually, if you look at all of our compute offerings, both in instances and Kubernetes, they all have immediate scaling to GPU-ready workloads, allowing you to start with CPUs and then move to GPUs when you're ready. Our pricing compared to this is up to 60% cheaper versus the hyperscalers, allowing you to start look at high-margin applications and also put startups and medium-sized businesses on the same playing field as large-scale enterprises. With our storage solutions, you'll find them ready for use cases like inference and ML training by default, where typical other providers will sell you a storage solution that's up to 5 times more expensive to be able to achieve that. And we're ready for things like hybrid cloud and multi-cloud today, and we have ingress and egress fees waived completely. So you scaling between Civo and the on-prem that you have here costs you nothing compared to the hyperscalers. This is all, as Dinesh mentioned, available in public, private cloud, and you can do on-premise with CSE and FlexCore alongside that. This is your AI toolkit to rapid AI transformation, and it can be as turnkey as signing up for a Civo account. And we understand this stuff is complicated. And actually, if you look at this journey, which has almost been the last, 8, 9 years? If you started working and building machine learning on an A100 Ampere, and you moved across to a B200, you could look at 100x optimizations. Workloads are getting 100 times faster in a decade. And actually being able to navigate this infrastructure challenge is becoming more and more complex. And what we want to do in Civo is make you part of that journey. Make sure you feel advised, you understand that these infrastructure decisions are part of your strategic investment, and we're your partners in being able to make that strategic investment alongside it. If you are interested in any of the information we're talking about today, we've got an AI product briefing which is just around the corner that you'd be more than welcome to come and we'll deep dive into. Fantastic. And alongside a very strong cloud platform with build your own capabilities, what we're also really proud to have is Relax. And where companies like OpenAI have ChatGPT and Anthropic has Claude, Civo has Relax. And actually what we're really, really proud to do is be able to keep the entirety of your data in your control, with none of the information you put into this AI assistant being used to train a model. And fundamentally, actually, by using these open source models, we're able to deliver up to 90% cost savings. If you're using a ChatGPT 5.1 model right now, you could be looking at paying $25 per million output tokens. We have 90% savings across that, and everything is military-grade encryption by default, meaning your data always stays secure inside the platform. We think the future of AI is about doing it on your terms. Doing it on your terms will be able to solve your problems. And actually, to showcase this cutting-edge functionality, I'd like to welcome Ben Norris, our principal AI engineer, on the stage to give you a demo.
Hey guys, thanks for coming today. Like Josh said, I'm the principal AI engineer working on the Relax product here at Civo. So a bit about me and my background. I've got quite a long history working for companies in the UK on like complex and scalable AI solutions. I work for companies like AstraZeneca and Bupa, working on projects ranging from things like natural language processing, all the way to precision medicine. But today, I'll be trying to convince you guys that you don't necessarily need to be an AI expert anymore to harness some of the most cutting-edge AI tools out there. Hopefully, you would have seen that in action in your day-to-day lives over the past couple of years. And I'll be doing this with our product, which is relaxAI. It's our AI as a service, private, secure, turnkey AI solution. So hopefully, by the end of today, you'll be confident enough going away using Relax, and you as an individual or you as a small to medium business can go away and be confident enough that you can start to challenge some of these big tech companies out there and some of these hyperscalers that are dominating the market at the minute. So I'll be going through the Relax dashboard. I'll be talking a bit about the product from a high level. I'll be demoing some of the features that here in the Relax team we're really, really passionate about and kind of just released in the past month. And then after we've done the dashboard, I'll be talking about the API solution as well. It's kind of a drop-in replacement, one-to-one mapping from the OpenAI API specification to make your migration over to relaxAI as streamlined as simple as possible. And like Josh said, that's over 90% reduction in your bill. So here is the Relax dashboard. Like you can see, obviously, it's a really minimalistic, simple layout. And we've designed it to be purposefully low level and simple to navigate so that anyone of any persona can use it, whether you're kind of business persona or you're an engineer developer. You can be as productive as you want with the dashboard. On the plus button, you'll be familiar with a lot of these tools. So we've reached parity with things like file upload. So if you're talking to a lot of you guys at the AI stand about RAG architectures, if you're interested in analyzing and processing a large number of file documents, you can upload as many files as you want, utilize some of the really long context models that we've got, and start to use some of these kind of high token churn workflows with relaxAI. We've also got the ability to upload photos, and we have multimodal models as part of our offering. So if you are into image processing, you can utilize kind of image-based workflows and text-based workflows all in the same conversation. You can upload up to 10 images per prompt as well, so you can analyze photos in parallel. There's no limit there for you guys. You've got web search, which a lot of you will be familiar with. If you want to find information that's current news, say current news in Bangalore, you can use web search for anything after the training cutoff of the model. But something that we're really, really excited here at Civo to announce is deep research, which I'll come on to in a second, but I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with using deep research, whether you're an academic or just in your day-to-day businesses. So I flick over and get an example prompt that I've got from previous. So here what I'm going to do is send a simple prompt to our GPT-OSS model. And I'm doing this just to emphasize the rapid rate of token generation for these powerful models, right? GPT-OSS has been optimized and fine-tuned to run on our Blackwell GPU chips, and it can generate over 230 tokens per second. So you can see all over probably not optimal Wi-Fi that the token generation is basically quicker than you can even blink, right? Quicker than you'll ever need, and quicker than you can really notice. And although this model is streaming, you can't even really see the token stream because it's so quick. So it's by far faster than anything you'll really need in any of your AI workflows day to day. Well, the next feature that I touched on previously is deep research. So what does deep research do if you're not familiar with it? Deep research basically allows you to conduct PhD level analysis into any domain of your choice. Like I said, whether you're in the scientific community, like I was, or if you're just doing kind of investigation into like business plans that you can present to leadership, deep research does a deep dive, analyzes hundreds and thousands of sources, and basically generates a 6-page report with really in-depth information of whatever you're investigating. So again, if I go and find a prompt that I've run previously, and it basically says, as a lead engineer of a tech company in Bengaluru, I'm looking to upgrade my AI infrastructure to the latest NVIDIA B200 Blackwell chips. Can you help me put together a business plan that I can present to my CEO? So if I go ahead and select deep research here, and prompts away, you can see that the deep research functionality is going to be immediately invoked. It's got quite an interactive loading screen that tells you each iterative step in the process of deep research. So relaxAI is going to take approximately 4 to 5 minutes to generate this deep research report, which, by the way, is around half the time as some of the AI providers out there like ChatGPT. So you can do it much, much quicker, or for a much significantly reduced bill. And it's going to do things like generate a research strategy. It's going to gather all the appropriate sources. It's going to compile those sources and create a concise, human-readable report that's a perfect balance between not being too long to be overwhelming for whoever you're presenting it to, but not being too short to not include all that information that we're getting from the sources, right? So you can see on screen now the current queries that we're asking our models. We're asking it, what are the power and cooling requirements for the NVIDIA B200 GPUs? And you can also see the number of sources that is retrieved per step, right? So here, 69 sources are being retrieved for that specific query. Obviously, you'll be familiar in web search, you usually query about 10 sources, right? So it kind of exemplifies the amount of information that's going into this deep research report. You can already see that it's about 70% complete, which is much, much faster than some of the providers. But just to exemplify, I don't want you to see the process churn over all the information that it's processing. We've got a research report here, which is approximately 6 pages on A4 paper. It's really well laid out, and it's kind of got an executive summary at the top. It's got an introduction, and the model will always generate these really logical and clear subheadings. So if I'm going to go to my CEO and say, this is my business plan to start to migrate onto the Blackwell chips, that's Civo, I can do that quite easily and review that document with leadership. It creates a really clear but well-detailed report there. So yeah, that's the dashboard. Really well laid out, minimalistic, easy to navigate, but some really powerful functionality there, as you can see. And finally, the other piece of functionality I want to show you guys today is the API. I talked to a lot of you guys over at the AI stand about the API. We see quite a diverse range of interest, whether that's the dashboard or using the API for, like I said, things like RAG architectures, but also plugging into third-party tools that you'll commonly use in your workflows, right? So, like I touched on before, the API was designed with one-to-one compatibility with the OpenAI specification in mind, right? So we've done that on purpose to make the migration process from OpenAI to relaxAI as simple as possible. All you guys need to do is input your new Relax API key, point your base URL for your client at the Relax URL, and you're basically up and running in the space of a couple of minutes, right? The full migration of your whole repository could take about 5 minutes. Streamlined and as easy as possible for you guys so you don't have to worry about the whole migration process. So this is the relaxAI API documentation. And if I click Get Started, again, like the dashboard, it's a similar theme. It's really minimalistic, but really easy to navigate. On the left here, we've got all the endpoints that we support. So obviously, we support chat completions, which also includes image processing. We support a deep research endpoint. And you can also query information about our models here. The models being GPT-OSS, Llama, and GLM 4.6, some of the most advanced models in the open source community. But if I scroll down, what I find is particularly useful for a lot of our clients is the amount of integrations that we support. So integrations being third-party tools that you can plug your AI provider into, and the LLM from Relax can drive that third-party tool no matter what it is, right? So it could be a automation workflow like NA10, but it also can be kind of a third-party coding assistant, things like Roo code, things like client plugins of VS Code. It's really simple to go to settings, input your API key, and point it at your Relax endpoint. So like I said, support over 30 plus integrations. If you want to explore more, you can come over to the Civo AI stand and we can chat about your use case sort of thing. But before I go, on the next slide that Josh will present will be a QR code that will lead you to the Relax front end. On there will be information about documentation for the API that I've got here. It'll be information about billing and sort of like the core message of why we set up this private and secure AI assistant. Furthermore, please do come over to the Civo AI stand. Whatever specific use case you have, I'll be more than happy to discuss. And yeah, I'll be really interested to chat to you. Thank you very much. I'll hand back to you.
Wasn't that fantastic? And this is technology that's available today with sovereign Indian mindset built in. You can use this to keep your company's data safe, and particularly for the complex use cases that AI is best at solving. If you're in healthcare, if you're in finance and you need a secure provider for your AI, and you don't want to send your data to US AI labs over the pond, this is the option for you. To talk a little bit about why it's so special to use open source right now is that we are at parity. Open source models are overtaking closed source models. And actually even in Bengaluru, you see places like It's tech startups building open source models for the community here. You guys are building your own models. You don't need OpenAIs. And if we start to drive that forward, what we're really excited to announce is a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs in the Indian market to start building AI technology without being trapped by US AI lab costing. This is the pricing for our models. We're up to 90% cheaper than ChatGPT for a very similar amount of performance. So to very, very quickly move through some use cases that are private and sovereign focused, and actually why the new age of AI, the hard problems to solve, are going to need privacy to be at the core of it, I'd like to look at two different use cases we have, one in sustainability and just one in healthcare. And no one will understand this better than you guys, but right now, data centers are getting harder and harder to build. They're getting more and more complex, and the requirements just rapidly expand. And actually, one of the things behind this is actually the challenges around water access to data centers, and being able to have these resources available, but then also put these data centers co-located where people live, at the edge. And we're working hard with a company called Orbital Materials, founded by founders from Google DeepMind, who have left to build the world's fastest, most accurate material science model on Civo. And they are using the AI technology to start to solve problems like building data centers that require 50 gallons of water a day. And the solution that they've got for that is actually they can extract the water from the atmosphere around the data center without a water inlet. This is technology built with AI, using AI models, optimizing the way AI models run. This dual-use chiller is available. It's what's being used inside our Civo data centers in the future. And this is a partnership that we began with them on the long journey to make sure their core intellectual property stays safe. Alongside that, a great example from the University of Oxford about radiology. Can I have a hand if anyone here has had someone in their life be affected by cancer? Me entirely. What is fascinating is the patient journey behind cancer patients. It's an incredibly complex journey that requires multiple points of diagnostic. And normally things like being able to do those diagnostics are painful, require loved ones around you to be able to get through. And what we've been really confident in being able to do with Oxford University is actually use AI technologies in radiology to dramatically reduce the pain felt by people taking dyes for radiology scans. And actually having milliliters of dye pumped into your system and then having that put across is A, uncomfortable for the patient, A, makes a really hard situation for a patient harder, but I think alongside that also drives a number of other benefits, which is reduces environmental impact, massively reduces the amount of pollution we put in from these dyes, and alongside that actually dramatically move from being a point of care to actually being an AI intelligence to be able to help people. And this technology can dramatically improve the healthcare of individuals, but the patient data behind this is a real obstacle to be able to solve. And just here's some examples of that technology working right now and the ability to use these contrast dyes to deliver these types of optimizations to the market. Thank you very much. I will hand over now back to Mark. I hope everyone had a very enjoyable speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. So yeah, it's incredible to see some of the life-changing work that's being done by Oxford University and also Orbital Materials. And I'm very proud that they're using Civo AI infrastructure to help accelerate that development. Some cutting-edge stuff there that's having a real impact on people's lives. But before I finish up this session, I'd just like to close out with some final thoughts. Now, traditionally, there's been two worlds that we've lived in technology. We've had the public cloud side that's, we know it's all dominated by hyperscalers, AWS, Microsoft, Google. And then we have the private cloud that's dominated by the likes of VMware and Nutanix. And these two worlds have no compatibility. If you want to move workloads between them, you have to throw away completely the way you've architected your software and have to re-architect it from public cloud to private cloud. Now, Civo is changing this. We're rewriting the script, and you've already heard today about our private cloud solutions and that parity. So we're eliminating the gap between public and private cloud. At Civo, we just think of it as cloud. It's one way of working. same products, same features, same API, and the same people to support you. And we call that cloud parity. Access to cloud anywhere in your data center or ours, or run workloads at the edge, or even in a hybrid setup. And in this AI era, Civo is built to give you more control of your valuable data. It's no longer a one-size-fits-all. It's the cloud the way that you want it. Thank you, everyone.